somebody that leaked Chrisean Rock and Jr.'s medical records from when he was born, listing the list of issues that he had.
So I don't know if these are actually Junior's medical records, but I will say that the medical records appear to have been written by a medical professional, just the terminology that was used and stuff. Okay? I do believe there's somebody's medical record.
Let's go straight to the point because Chrisean Rock's situation has recently taken a critical turn. And yes, everything is coming full circle to her baby. The tale of Chrisean Jr. is intensifying again, but this time it's not the usual wild headlines or visually striking chaos. It looks personal, it is deeper. It also has individuals shuddered. When you stop scrolling and simply stare at the screen, you're thinking, wait, what? This is where it gets crazy. The social media scene is exploding, with timelines and group chats brimming with screenshots that have surfaced on Twitter and TikTok, and they're not just trivial rumors.
That have been released that people were saying are the medical documents of Junior, Chrisean's son. I'm going to tell you where to go to watch this on YT in a minute. So I don't know if these are actually Junior's medical records, but I will say that the medical records appear to have been written by a medical professional, just the terminology that was used and stuff. Okay? I do believe there's somebody's medical record.
They're analyzing every detail, attempting to confirm their authenticity and decoding some of the spoken words in these screen grabs, which are being presented as authentic medical documents related to Junior. People are arguing, crying, and making assumptions about it online. And while everyone is pretending to be aware of the truth, nobody is
me a little leery about it is it says that the mother admitted to prenatal substance abuse, and it listed some substances that she admitted to. I just find it hard to believe that Chrisean would ever even admit that.
Let's set the record straight. Nothing that happened is shown here. And everything we do is civil and above the law. But the situation is only getting worse by the hour and is turning into a full-fledged storm. The internet has been talking about these alleged documents since they were made public, so I can talk about what other people are saying. It is said that the screenshots contain medical notes, and the content is causing a lot of online discussion, despite the fact that none of it has been confirmed by any official source.
Junior's medical records been leaked. I don't know how true it is, but it's saying that he got all type of stuff and how she was being neglectful. But my thing is, if the doctors test the babies after they were born and they see that something, like if she was doing substances or something, she would have had to suffer the consequences. So I'm not sure if everything is true or not, but whoever did leak that is about to face some serious charges because the HIPAA laws. Like, why would y'all leak that anyway?
According to online detectives, some of the messages suggest that the Junior misses appointments, and Chrisean is specifically being blamed for her failure to regularly attend her child's checkups. Whether true or not, that rumor alone has stoked a fire that people were already eager to spread. Now, I think this is something new. Since she announced her pregnancy to the world, Chrisean has been the center of attention, and she's twisted and flipped into drama in everything she does, including where she goes, who she's seen with, and how she holds her child. She has become a walking celebrity, even when she's just trying to go about her.
That leaked Chrisean Rock and Jr.'s medical records from when he was born, listing the list of issues that he had. One of the issues being alcohol fetal syndrome, another one dealing with his ophthalmology, dealing with his sight, something else dealing with pulmonary, dealing with his lungs. I'm gonna tell y'all like this, there's so much fake news going on right now. I'm gonna take this with a grain of salt, even though the person who posted it tagged Blueface and Carlissa in it. Also proving that she didn't take no prenatal vitamins when she was pregnant.
People immediately went into judge and jury mode when these alleged medical data started to spread online. There was outrage, but no facts were confirmed.
Have a baby. There are so many tests that are performed during, after your labor, right? So if the doctors found something that could have been a cause due to the neglect of the mother, she would have had some type of consequence. Chrisean suffered no consequence, which is why I take this so-called news with a grain of salt.
Yet no one seems interested in who made this public. That is really amazing. If these documents are even somewhat real, someone went to great pains to get them. It's more than just a conspiracy. The fact that someone with information is involved suggests that more is going on behind the scenes than most people realize, which is a grave violation of privacy if it is accurate. Interview.
Something going on. So I don't know if the hospital that she had the baby at, it is a well-known hospital for celebrities, and they do tend to cover shit up. But I'm pretty sure nobody not about to risk losing their license, misdiagnosing a child who's clearly having all of these difficulties and developmental delays. They're not gonna write something like, oh, the baby is healthy, when the baby not healthy.
It's a complete mess. Let's face it. I'm not ready to declare the documents fake, but I'm also not out there saying they're completely real. Based on the way things are unfolding online, it's starting to look like much more than a rumor. No, I'm not here to fabricate anything. I'm just sorting through everything that's currently on the internet. These posts that went viral are the screenshots that are circulating are causing a lot of buzz online, and they are purportedly taken from medical records. It is said that Junior tested positive for a number of drugs at birth. You heard correctly, yes. All 3. Additionally, that has caused a great deal of anxiety and irrational assumptions. But it doesn't stop there. It is reported that these same records list several serious medical conditions, including the previously alarming neonatal abstinence syndrome, as well as seizure disorders, stiffness, and a condition called cortical visual impairment.
Maybe they had advised her to get the baby certain kind of help, and they probably worded it on the paperwork as if it was natural causes and not due to the neglect of the mama. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? All I know is there's a story going around showing fake or true diagnosis and records from the baby. I don't know. But I'm gonna look more into it, y'all. I'll come back if they,
For those who are unaware, CVI is not the same as blindness. It deals with how the brain interprets the signals that the eyes receive. So if the brain isn't doing that, the child's visual perception of the surroundings is affected, which is serious and awful. Again, it is alleged. There's more than that. In addition, a team of highly skilled medical professionals, including cardiologists, orthopedists, neurologists, and possibly others, are reportedly already treating the newborn, which, if true, indicates that the child has been fighting a lot since birth. This is where the internet is going crazy. According to one section of the alleged note, the mother, Chrisean, admitted to regularly using drugs during pregnancy. One statement alone has sparked a flurry of reactions, including arguments, verdicts, discussions about responsibility, and even the potential for future legal ramifications.
So it says that the baby suffers from fetal alcohol syndrome and neonatal abstinence syndrome. So neonatal abstinence syndrome is basically the baby is withdrawing from opioids, some sort of drugs, but they're thinking either opioids or cocaine in this case. And allegedly,
the fact that such private, sensitive material is out there shows how out of control it is. To be clear, no hospital has verified the authenticity of these documents, and none of this has been certified by formal means yet. The scenario is now different. The internet has suddenly turned into a courtroom. Everyone thinks they know the facts and are ready to make a decision. And then what? So buckle up. The situation gets even stranger at this point. The screenshots that started this fire were originally uploaded by a user going by the name King Case. When I looked into it to make sure I was seeing that profile, I found that it had completely disappeared, either deactivated or erased completely.
Also allegedly suffers from spasticity, which is like a neurological disorder that makes it hard for people or babies to move their limbs.
Nothing to hide. And based on their posts, they were direct. Let's face it, the timing seems too good to be a coincidence, and people are now speculating online. Some believe the account was deleted on purpose to avoid heat, while others believe it was flagged for revealing private information. That account, however, didn't post casually. It dropped explosives, and their content was making social media go crazy in real time. The timeline was ablaze with the first post, which basically said that the child's illness was so obvious that it could not be concealed. A PR statement couldn't conceal it. She accused her inner group, Chrisean and Blueface, of trying to hide the truth about Junior's condition. The public was being fed a misleading narrative that everything was fine, that Junior was doing great, and nothing was wrong because of the way they presented.
suffers from seizure disorder and CVI. Now, CVI is cortical visual impairment, which is just, it means that a part of his brain has been damaged, the part of his brain that controls his vision. So, he has blindness. Like a lot of I've heard people say this, but I just didn't believe.
It's more than just rumors. It was a cry to action. This screenshot spread like wildfire before the post disappeared, but the message itself did not. As soon as something hits the net, you already know. It was harsh and cold, and it really shook people. The statement, truth is in that child, even criticized others who were defending Chrisean. Give up ignoring it. Too late to undo it. Let me explain, the truth of all of this is still unknown. No one has confirmed how exactly those screenshots were obtained, and without that, it is hard to tell what is true and what is a rumor. Online, however, the situation is exploding, and Reddit is already overflowing with long debates, with people arguing for hours on end and examining every
palliative care. Now, I work in hospice, and a lot of people, they believe that palliative care and hospice is interchangeable, but it's not. The palliative care kind of focuses more on prolonging the life of the child or person in general. But in this case, if he should be on palliative care, he's got a very serious medical condition, and he ain't gonna. She needs to be taking care of him.
Is already in chaos, and TikTok is exploding right now. People are putting together videos, doing in-depth research, and looking at everything from body language to interviews to past live feeds. They are pointing at what they think are odd behaviors or medical signs, pausing movies frame by frame, and pulling up receipts. There is no question as to whether these claims are true or not. There is no need for online proof. Public opinion is already shifting quickly. The harm is already done. The trendiest hashtags are changing hourly, and users are tagging CPS in viral tweets and arguing in the comments like it's open season.
As a mother, do you know these diagnoses, or do you know any of this information about your son and not help him in any way? Continue to live the same lifestyle that you lived before you had him.
Let's face it, if all of this turns out to be untrue, we're dealing with a whole new level of defamation, and people may be sued as a result. But if even one of these accusations turns out to be true, there's a whole other storm on the horizon, because what we're witnessing is people gradually relinquishing their blind faith, questioning her parenting, her choices, and the real events that went on behind the scenes while defending Chrisean. This is where the internet completely splits, with some on one side saying, "We knew this was shady." This is being described as confirmation of their preconceptions. Now that everyone is absorbed in this drama as if it were the season finale of the Netflix documentary series, I decided to look into it myself because another side is fighting for Chrisean and saying that this is actually a smear campaign to harm her. Reputation.interview, 1345-1435. The law requires hospitals to notify Child Protective Services or another child welfare agency when a newborn tests positive for drugs. Let's face it, if all the information in those screenshots is true and the baby had multiple drugs in his system at delivery, why wasn't he removed sooner? Isn't there an open investigation already in place? CPS would have taken over immediately, wouldn't they? Many people on the internet are, but in reality, it's not that easy. I looked into it. Has jurisdiction over that area, but that doesn't mean removal is instantaneous. No. Background checks, interviews, and assessments are all part of the process. Contrary to popular belief, it's not an automatic process. Each case is evaluated separately based on the mother's medical history, the baby's condition, and whether there is an urgent threat. As a result, even if the hospital reported it, researchers' findings may still differ, especially when multiple drugs are allegedly involved, like what's being. As we've discussed here, what happens after the call is placed? It gets murky there, and most people don't realize how serious it is. In reality, CPS may delay taking any drastic measures if the parent starts to cooperate, like going to clinics, getting therapy, or following a care plan set up by the hospital or social worker. They may want to keep an eye on while they keep an eye on things behind the scenes. They may sometimes initiate an official investigation while keeping the child with the parent. The state, the child's condition, and the hospital's evaluation can all have an effect. Some areas move quickly while others take their time. Let's assume it is true now. If Chrisean had actually admitted to using during her pregnancy, it would have surely resulted in an official report if medical staff had recorded that. There would be no choice in that regard, but this is where the law gets complicated. There is no assurance that a report will be automatically deleted. Evidence of damage, intent, and long-term effects must all be considered as well as in court. Therefore, don't assume that nothing is happening just because it hasn't been public or loud yet. These systems are not as dynamic as social media. They move gently and quietly. When they do act, trust is a strong emotion. If even a small part of what is being said is true, then someone has already opened a file and is moving in the background. That's how it works. What surprised me is that many people don't realize this. The baby doesn't necessarily leave the house just because a report is filed and a newborn test comes back positive. It's not as quick as you might think. This process is much more complicated than it seems. The hospital does not ignore a newborn who tests positive for a prohibited substance, as has allegedly been suggested in this case. No chance. Let's be clear, because people are making rash decisions and irrational assumptions online without even understanding how the system is supposed to work. They called the hotline. And for good reason. The law requires them to notify Child Protective Services immediately. But once they get that signal, CPS doesn't just show up at the door and start dragging babies away like they're on TV. This is how it really works. To begin, CPS doesn't make snap decisions. Everything is scrutinized thoroughly. It's not just a positive test result or an accusation. The whole picture matters. They will assess whether the parent is really capable of providing for the child. Is the baby eating regularly? Are they changing diapers? These are all important. Questions. After looking for those first signs, they look further. Does the home have a safe, livable, and clean environment? Does it have a crib, running water, heat, and basic hygiene? Does the parent take part in any type of therapy program? Is the parent attending therapy? Is a family member stepping in to provide assistance? CPS is trying to understand. Is it just a rough patch? Instead, are there real signs that the child may be in danger? At this point, they have options if too many warning signs show up. CPS is legally required to assist the parent in following a court-mandated care plan, which may include drug tests, therapies, supervised visits, parenting classes, and regular house inspections. The case file also takes a long time to close once it is open, and some of these situations last for months or even years. In most cases, if the parent displays "don't get it wrong" then, even if a child isn't taken away right away, a case may still be ongoing. We wouldn't know unless it appeared in court records, but it's possible that there is already a file in the system with Chrisean's name on it sitting on someone's desk. Sometimes under strict guidelines, CPS will allow the baby to stay in the home if they make an effort, maintain their hygiene, follow their case plan, and attend appointments. When a newborn shows signs of chemical exposure, removal is not always required, which is where drug testing and rehabilitation programs come in handy. The law may allow her to keep custody if the parent, in this case, Chrisean, is cooperating with the court, attending to her treatment, passing exams, and sincerely trying to get clean. This is a topic that people are closely following on the internet. CPS doesn't just end after a report is filed. They stay and may arrange follow-up check-ins, drop-ins, or home visits if the parent makes a sincere effort, ensures the juniors safety, and stays on course with the program even if there are serious accusations circulating. The child may be permitted to stay there if she complies with all criteria and all rules mandated by the court or CPS. Additionally, they would have the legal authority to do so. Care plans, the child won't be taken away every time. It's not universally applicable. Let's clarify one more thing. This whole situation is alleged. The screenshots that are making the rounds haven't been verified by any government agency. No hospital or organization has verified anything, and we don't know where they came from. It's uncertain whether it's all true or not, which is why it's so delicate. Meanwhile, social media is divided, with some people saying that Chrisean isn't taking the lead as a parent, especially if the junior has health problems. Others argue that we can't see what happens behind closed doors. She may be doing everything right and just doesn't need to post a detailed account of her child's medical history online. Let's be honest, there's no doubt that the baby deserves the best care, but Chrisean is not accountable for the public updates. She has a duty to that child, not to the comments. Everyone hopes she's acting morally, but unless she decides, since none of us really knows what goes on behind the scenes. It is important to remember that Chrisean is still in charge of things even if she does not publicly share her medical visits. Not everything has to be made public. No, I won't lie. To my surprise, those alleged medical documents were making the rounds on Twitter and TikTok. If true, the accusations were grave and devastating, but again, nothing has I would now like to hear from you. Are the screenshots visible to you? Do you think they are authentic, or does it look like someone is promoting a false story? Leave your thoughts in the comments section. Turn on the notification bell, hit the like button, and subscribe while you're at it. We're still not sure of the exact source of those screenshots, so it could be a sign or a complete fabrication. And if there's any truth to it, I hope someone is acting behind the scenes for that Junior's welfare rather than for show. T is a never-sleeping creature, so stay locked in, stay vigilant, and hit the like button and leave your thoughts in the comments if you're interested in the drama. That's it for now, but don't worry, this story is far from a finished one.